pass it over to MPP Kanapathy to get us started.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for the kind introduction, Shannon. And Shannon is the Director of Cultural Media and Stakeholder Relations from Premier Office. She reached more than me to the cultural media, and thank you for your passion and your work. And my pleasure to welcome to our cultural media roundtable featuring the Minister Sivan Lecce, MPP for Vaughan, and also he is the Minister for Energy and Electrification. And he doesn't need the introduction. And when he was the Education Minister, he not only modernized the education system, he revolutionized the education system, I often say. And we had a wonderful education minister in the history of Ontario and Canada. And thank you for being here. And also I have a friend of mine, is Daisy Y, is not stranger to Markham, as he's an MPP from Richmond Hill, and Daisy also parliamentary assistant to citizenship and citizenship and accessibility. And thank you, Daisy Y, for being here. I had to say some more things about this, Minister Lecce. I was talking about education, and he empowered the children and parents, and that now he bringing that same passion and dedication to the energy sector, driving meaningful progress and innovation to the energy. The energy is a vital part of our economy, it's everything. So thank you to the cultural media, as for parliamentary assistant for Minister of Multiculturalism and Citizenship. Thank you for being here in Markham, ethnic media, for your participation. And I could see that the weekdays, Fridays, the weekdays, all the medias came here. I had to thank you from bottom of my heart for your presence, and also taking our news, not only our government news, is all the news from the genuine news and views point of view, without filter. I often say there's a lot of dirt in the air. So how you are taking the sincere, genuinely, this message to the community with the language. You are doing an amazing job, ethnic media. Your work ensure that important news reach every corner of Ontario, and for that, I'm so grateful. Today, we are hosting this media roundtable in the heart of one of the most ethnically diverse city, Markham City, according to the census. So within my riding, our riding, Markham Thornhill, Markham Union, it's the most ethnically diverse riding. I think this is the appropriate place to.
According to census. Check it out. By the way, you have another one.
Who's calling you, Logan?
Appropriate place to host this ethnic media roundtable right here, City of Markham. So in the few minutes, the minister will inform more about our new energy efficiency program and our Fortress AM CAN program as well. So, and valued ethnic media partners, your support is crucial. Spreading word about this program is a wonderful program. It's a history of Ontario. So I'm not going to take away the minister thunder, and he's going to talk about this energy efficient program, what we are going to talk about today. Ensuring the energy program is ensuring that every community, regardless of their language and background, knows about the opportunity available to them. That's what ethnic media play that game. So your connection to Ontario diverse community to help bridge the gap between the government initiative and the people they are mean to serve. We are continuing on your partnership with the ethnic media and cultural media. Make sure that no one is left behind when it comes to information. So as we move forward together, I'm proud of the step we are taking to make Ontario a more affordable and prosperous province in Canada. So thank you for your time, for continuing work and supporting our community, and for being here today. Now at this time, I'd like to pass it to my good friend and colleague, MPP Daisy Boy, for Richmond Hill, and Parliamentary Assistant to Minister for Seniors and Accessibility. Thank you, Daisy Boy. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Minister, MPP Kanapathy. He will soon be the minister anyway,
minister
right?
yet.
All of us will work very hard for Ontario. First of all, it is an honor to be here with all of you, and thank you for Shannon Whitaker for pulling this together, having this special media roundtable. But most of all, thank you all to our media friends of different culture. We are really happy to have this great announcement. This is an important announcement for us. As we all know, we have been working hard to make sure, and especially our Premier and our Minister has been working very hard to make sure that our electricity demand is really covered. I'm sure we all still remember there are, years ago, we have time that is all dark. We're not going to have that again because we're already taking that leadership to know that by 2050, we will have 75% more energy that we need. So which is why we plan ahead of time. We have this leadership, and I'm so thankful that we're planning it right now, not close to the time where we have a problem. And not only are we doing a lot of work in nuclear energy, which the Premier is going to talk, the Minister is going to talk about. We are also doing a lot of work in getting new location, having new sites for energy. But more importantly, we're having a good special program that will also benefit our residents and all Ontarians. So we're working together to make sure that we preserve this energy. We're going to introduce some more important initiatives that will have a lasting positive impact, especially, as I say, to our residents and to our communities. These initiatives today our Minister will focus on will be the energy efficient program and the Wesleyville nuclear site and the phosphorus MCAN. And we are going to talk a lot more about this energy savings program, efficiency program. As your representative in Richmond Hill, I understand the importance of these efforts. If energy efficiency and sustainability growth are not only about reducing cost, it is sustaining our future needs, as I mentioned earlier, but it's also about securing healthier environment and creating lasting opportunities for our communities. I'm thrilled to introduce our Minister, Minister Stephen Lecce, who is working very hard, and we have a lot of good news from him every day from in TV and in front of all the communities. So we're working towards that goal. I will not hold you up from allowing our Minister to tell you all the details about all these programs that he is offering to all Ontarians. Minister, thank you very much for working very hard. And to you, please tell us all the good news.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful and an honor to be with you. Daisy referred to Logan as the minister, me as the premier. So Daisy, you're the prime minister at this table.
Thank you. We're getting there.
We're elevating you. We are a strong team. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Logan Kanapathy and Daisy Way, both of whom are strong, principled fighters for common sense and for the values of our family and our country. And so thank you both for being wonderful friends and mentors to me. And most importantly, thank you to joining us today from across the ethnocultural communities of Canada. We are, in a very challenged time in our country, and our Premier has arisen as the national leader we need to fight for Canada, fight for our jobs, fight for the prosperity of our province and country. Taking a unified approach, a Team Canada approach, where we stand together in the defense of our economy against what can only be described as one of the most existential threats to our economy with this 25% tariff that is being potentially levied against Canada by President Trump. And I am proud of our Premier. And what he has been made clear is that we will respond in kind to defend our workers and to defend our families. We cannot allow anyone in the world to impose economic hardship on our people without responding with a strong, principled defense of our families and our economy. And so we are, and we have been for several weeks, been preparing for this potential attack on our economy and our workers. And the Premier wants us to assure you that we will stand up for our economy and we will stand up for our workers. And we will provide the support for Canadian and Ontario businesses that may be hurt because of these tariffs. And that will require a mandate from the people of Canada, the people of Ontario, when we're talking about potentially spending tens of billions of dollars. Our Premier has demonstrated to you all through the pandemic that he stands alone as the national and provincial leader that has the plan and the vision to keep our economy strong, to keep taxes low, and to keep our streets safe. And, you know, the people of Ontario have a choice. One day they will be able to make a choice between parties that advocate for higher taxes, that want to quadruple the carbon tax, that want to weaken our laws and allow chaos on our streets with injection sites located near schools, with violent crime on the rise. We, as progressive conservatives, and frankly, as taxpayers and proud Canadians, we demand better for our children. And part of that is about thinking about tomorrow and building a better country, a better province for our children too. And so, while I started with a bit of challenges on the horizon, I want to give you some good news too, because within the darkness there is light. There's a lot of good that's happening, and Daisy Logan and I are proud to be unveiling what can only be described as the country's largest energy conservation initiative ever. $10.9 billion of investment going directly into your pockets. Many of you will remember in the 08-09, the Great Recession that took place, Stephen Harper, Prime Minister Harper, and Minister of Finance Jim Flaherty, they both built and unveiled the home renovation tax credit, the home renovation program, which was a highly effective program that put money back into the pockets of our families and our homeowners as they rebuilt their homes. And so what we've done is we've modeled a program similar, $10.9 billion. It's going to save our economy over $12 billion of energy we now do not need to generate because we're going to be conserving it. It has the equivalent of removing 3 million homes from the electricity grid because it is so significant in its scope. 12 years of a horizon. The former Liberals were putting in about $300 million for 4-year cycles. We're doing $900 million over every year for the next 12 years of money in your pockets that we pay for up to 30% of the costs to update and renovate and create greater energy efficiency in your home. So we're going to give you up to 30% upfront for new windows and new doors, for a heat pump, for new insulation, for things that can include smart thermostats and even rooftop solar. You want to put solar on your roof of your home, on your farm, on your business. We're now going to give you 30% of the coverage and the battery to store the power. We are revolutionizing and reimagining energy, putting you in the driver's seat, the people of Ontario, to be a part of the solution, to reduce emissions, but more importantly, to reduce your energy bills, because the Liberals want to increase your bills. The carbon tax adds 25% to electricity bills and energy bills in the province. And I'm proud that the Premier cut the gas tax by 10 cents. I'm proud that our Premier is fighting the carbon tax. And I'm proud that Daisy Logan and I today are unveiling what it can only be, what is the largest energy conservation program in the history of Ontario, putting $10.9 billion into your pockets where it belongs. And this is part of a greater vision about making life more affordable. After we cut the gas tax by 10 cents a liter, we made clear to families that we're going to be on their side. Today, a $200 check is being put into the mails to every Ontarian man, woman, and child to a reminder that it is a difficult time to balance one's budget in their homes in this economy. And our Premier is compassionate, he is realistic, he understands that hardship, and that's why he stepped up with a multi-billion-dollar program to put money back into the pockets of Ontarians. So we're going to be there for Ontario and for our country. We're going to never, ever waver for them defending our country, being proud of our flag, and celebrating the good that we're doing in Ontario, because Ontario is unique in the world. We're building large-scale nuclear development, as Daisy mentioned, on time and on budget. We're the only jurisdiction in the world building large-scale nuclear on time and on budget. And just days ago, I was proud to stand in Durham and Port Hope with Minister David Piccini and Minister Todd McCarthy, where we announced that we'll be moving forward with the largest newest nuclear generator in the country. 10,000 megawatts of clean, non-emitting power, enough power for 10 million homes. It's going to add $235 billion to our GDP and create 10,500 net new good-paying jobs. So we're busy. We are working around the clock, and we're standing up for affordability. And I'm just want to say thank you to Daisy, thank you to Logan, and frankly, thank you to the Premier and the people of Ontario for being united in this difficulty. We will get through this, and I know the energy conservation program, I know the carbon tax opposition, and the $200 checks, all of this is going to help make life more affordable. And that's what our Premier, that's what our party and our government you can count on. So with that, thank you, and I'll turn it over to Shannon.
Okay, we will start with questions. If you can line up behind me. If you can introduce yourself and your outlet. It'll be one question, one follow-up. First question.
Rami Botros, Oxygen Media. Thank you very much, Minister and MPs, for this kind of meetings, media meetings, and we rely on you on the inaugurations of Donald Trump. Actually, Premier Ford said that we might lose hundreds of thousands of jobs because of these 25 tariffs. So what is the role of Ontario Energy as a strong negotiation card in the hands of the Canadian politicians, how this will affect this decision and how it will be a good impact for Canada?
Our strong preference is that the federal government fulfills their duties and is able to dissuade President Trump to impose this tariff on their number one trading partner and friend and Democratic ally. If the federal government has failed to do that, and it would appear that these tariffs are coming, then the Premier and the Premiers of Canada have said that all options are on the table to respond with force and speed and strength, and to negotiate from a position of strength. Well, the President, Trump, will say he doesn't need Canada. That may be a good tweet, but the truth is 1.5 million Americans, their lights are on because of Ontario. The military hardware being built in the US depends on access to our critical minerals. And look, the US doesn't have a domestic supply. We do, and China does. And so the choice is, who are our American friends going to stand with? They can stand with their Democratic friend or a nation for which that obviously doesn't share their values or their interests. So our Premier has been very clear that we need to continue to take our message to the US to make sure they understand it is in their interest to work with Ontario. 9 million Americans today woke up because of the trade relationship with Ontario alone. So we're going to make that message known. If they impose a tariff, that's going to lead to an increase, $1 increase per gallon of gas. Everyone loses. Americans will lose. Canadians will lose. And in a trade war, no one wins. So my hope is common sense will prevail. If it doesn't, we will be prepared to respond and to defend our workers and to support our families through that hardship. And I personally will be going down to Washington on Sunday and on Monday with Minister Vic Fedeli to represent Ontario at the inauguration. And we plan to work around the clock to make our message known that we are stronger together and that our economies, our national security, our energy are all so interconnected. And so let's build a fortress AMCAN, this idea of a continental approach to energy integration. Let's not move apart. Let's further integrate for the benefit of our families, our economies, and our workers.
Follow-up questions. Are there any thoughts in case of the insistence of President Trump to impose the tariff to put another tariffs on the energy or the power supply to USA?
That all options are on the table, and the Premier has said we really should not rule anything out. The first thing we need to do is assess what the President does and then work from there. If he imposes a 25% tariff on everything indiscriminately, that will have, as the Premier said, could have the impact of hundreds of thousands of job losses in Ontario and obviously an economic impact to America. So we want to get too ahead of ourselves. We want to just assure Ontarians we're working around the clock, putting pressure on the US, on decision makers. We have the largest ad campaign in the US in Ontario history. Over 400 million impressions of Americans have seen our ads in airports online. The Premier made sure that there's a large online ad program right around Mar-a-Lago. So whenever the president is at his house, he's going to see the ads on his phone. I'm not kidding. I'm not even being, I'm honest. We are literally targeting that level of sophistication to target the decision makers and let them know our economies, our national security are better together. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Minister Lecce and MPP Logan and Daisy. This is Lane from Yes My Radio. The question I want to ask, the gentleman already asked, so I switch to another question. My question is, according to the new renovation energy plan, if the resident the plan will start on January 28th. So if the resident want to apply right now, is there any options or windows open to them to apply ahead of time? Thank you.
That's a very good question, because you just reminded me what I forgot to say. Okay, so right now, the program will officially launch, yes, on the 20th, the end of the month. But today, any Ontarian, any person who's a homeowner, a condo, a home, whatever it may be, cottage, a farm, they can apply. They can go to saveonenergy.ca. That's www.saveonenergy.ca. Right now, you can sign up today. You can see the full eligibility of everything that is available. And I just want to give you a bit of context here because it's an impressive list. If you were to do insulation, thicker insulation in your home to reduce waste of energy and keep your home warmer or cooler, insulation, you can get up to $8,900. That's a third of that cost, up to $9,000 in your pocket. So you apply online, you put it's an easy system to put your receipts or the receipts online, and within 60 days maximum, you're going to get your money back. And so it's a simple process. We made it as simple as possible, straightforward, clear, maximum number of days. So you're not waiting 7 months to get your money back. You've got certainty, and you've got the money. And so I think this is a good example of how our Premier is trying to create jobs, stimulate construction workers, who, as you know, the housing sector, there's not a lot going on. So how do we create work? How do we stabilize the economy? How do we stimulate the economy? So I'm very proud of this. And as we say, this program is going to reduce energy bills for all families that participate.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Good to see you, Minister.
Thank you.
Again, Bill Fatsis from Greca TV. I was covered partly by the first question.
Sure.
However, I think I have a follow-up on that. By the way, if I can read the opinion polls in the Greek community, the community is absolutely proud. And I think I reflect that it's true in every ethnic community of the leadership that our Premier takes with the premiers vis-a-vis what we're expecting from Donald Trump. Now, this is an excellent program. I don't know whether if the implementation of 25% in tariffs come to Ontario, is it enough to derail the energy savings programs that you announced today? And more importantly, does Ontario and perhaps Canada have a plan B to export perhaps energy to Europe and other parts of the world? Thank you.
So our savings is irrespective of what happens in the U.S. Families are going to access this $10.9 billion. They're going to have the ability to improve their homes and to reduce their energy bills. That happens regardless of what President Trump, whatever he does is not going to impact our commitment to affordability. Just like we cut the gas tax and extended it by 10 cents, we're going to keep doing that, irrespective of what he says or what he wants. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we create a competitive advantage, because if it becomes too costly, the taxes go up, the regulation, red tape goes up, all the capital is going to flow to the United States, which is exactly what the president wants. So we have to be smart. The fact that on April 1, that the Liberals are going to increase the carbon tax is insanity. It was wrong a year ago, but when the president of the United States is trying to take jobs from other economies because he's slashing taxes and regulations, we become uncompetitive. So we're going to keep this program. We're leaning into it. We're proud of it. And my goodness, what perfect timing to give families a reduction in their energy bills every year. With respect to exports, I was proud to lead missions in Romania, in Estonia, in Poland, and in every single country in the European Union. We deliver deals for Ontarians, deals abroad that create jobs back home. We're exporting our small modular reactors into the European market. Poland, Czech Republic, Estonia have all expressed interest, and we signed commitments to export our Canadian technology into those markets. So you make an important point. The plan B is a wake-up call that we have to diversify our export markets. We cannot just depend on one massive economy to the south. We need to smarten up. And we have trade deals now in Europe. We have trade deals in the Asia Pacific, free trade with South Korea, in the Latin American nations. These are very much emerging economies. So we are working hard. Minister Fidelity has been working very hard to diversify our trade so that we're not dependent on one buyer. In the meantime, though, we're going to fight for our jobs, and we're going to make the case that Ontario, if we were a standalone nation, we'd be the third largest trading partner to the United States after Mexico and China. Think about that. If we were a nation, so when people think, what are they going to care what Ontario thinks or what Ontario thinks? Money talks in the U.S., where we would be the third largest trading partner with the U.S. after Mexico and China. That's an impressive feat. We have power in our trade relationship, and we're going to use it for good, and we're going to continue to stand up for Canada. But what we're not going to do is sit back and do nothing, which is what some people recommend.
Just a short follow-up. I understand out of the 18 Cantu reactors, 17 of them are in Ontario.
Yes.
Does Ontario have the jurisdiction to export directly to other countries, or is it within the jurisdiction for Cantu reactors, within the federal government?
So 17 of 18 nuclear reactors in Canada are in Ontario. That is true. They're all CANDU. Made in Canada technology. We're proud of that. CANDU, which is owned by a company called Atkinson Realis, they export it with support of Ontario and sometimes even Canada. The federal government are involved in some of these deals. I was in Romania on my third day. I was crazy enough to fly to Bucharest to close a deal with the government of Romania to refurbish a CANDU reactor at the Cernavodă nuclear site, nuclear facility in Romania. So there are CANDUs around the world. CANDUs are being built right now in China, for example, and in other economies. We in Ontario are refurbishing the global fleet. So it's amazing. It's like it's when we sell the technology, when we build it, we do well. Then we refurbish it, we do well. We maintain them, we're doing well. Jobs back home. When we refurbish the CANDU reactor at Pickering, and likewise at Darlington, 96% of all the supply chain we use for the refurbishment were made in Ontario, not made in Canada. Ontario businesses, 96% for that. These are like multi-billion-dollar refurbishments. So think of the jobs in the supply chain. That's why we're pro-nuclear. We're for affordable options. We're for reliable energy. We're for clean energy. And we take an all-the-above approach. It's an incredible technology that is working well in Ontario and around the world. We have the strongest regulator in the world. And look, 75,000 jobs directly relate to this technology. And not only is it effective, reliable, safe, and clean, it is one of the most affordable energy options that are available to the people of Ontario. The Ontario Energy Board does an analysis of, and you hear sometimes, I hear some of the Liberals or the Green Party saying there's more inexpensive energy sources, except that's not what the facts say. Nuclear energy produces 24/7 power. Renewables, if it's not sunny, that means we won't have light right now. If it's not windy, there's a role for renewables, but it can't be the only thing we have. We need base load power, meaning 24/7 power. So hydroelectric is important. We've expanded hydro, and we're expanding nuclear. And the world is turning to Ontario, looking to us as a solution to their energy demand problems. Because as you heard from Logan, and you heard from Daisy, every economy is scrambling for power. But not here in Ontario. We are thinking about tomorrow, planning for 25-year horizons. We're actually thinking about your children. We're literally designing energy that, we probably won't benefit from, but our kids and grandkids will. And people say to us, why would you get into politics? Who would run in politics in today's crazy world? And it's like, you say, what's our why? It's our kids. We want the next generation to be better off. That's why they came to the country. It's why my own parents came to this country. So that's our mission. That's our Northern Star, if you will. We're going to keep focusing on that affordable energy, reliable energy, safe and clean. And I'm very proud that when we talk about our kids, we're going to leave our kids an even cleaner environment, because we already have one of the cleanest electricity grids on Earth because of nuclear power. We're going to go down to near net zero. Can you imagine that? We're going to get down to nearly 100% non-emitting, virtually no emissions from our grid, because nuclear power doesn't emit emissions. It's a clean form of power. So we're excited about the future. We're leading the first small modular reactor, the miniaturized nuclear, in the entire G7. We're building it at Darlington. And I'll tell you, the world has come to us. Poland, $100 billion contract. The US, Tennessee Valley Authority, the largest public utility in America, has a deal with Ontario. We're going to help them build their SMRs, their small modular reactors. So small and large, we're doing something right. We're the only one that builds on time and on budget. And we're going to keep building for our kids and for the future.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this will be our last question.
Hi, Minister. I'm Greg Guo from FM 1059. And I just want to follow up the question the lady just asked regarding the safety, because talking about the nuclear generation side, I think the general public's main concern is the safety. Do you want to say something to the general public, to reassure the safety to them?
We have the strongest safety standards in the world, and we've been safely providing nuclear power for over 60 years in Ontario. And we want to continue to provide affordable, clean, and reliable power for the next generation. And there's a nuclear renaissance happening. The world is literally turning to nuclear as a solution to some of our great environmental and economic challenges. And Canadian technology is leading the way. And I want to assure the people of Ontario that as we build for the next 25 years, our focus is going to be on reliable energy, clean energy, and affordable energy, so we can keep our bills low. Because under the former Liberals, the hydro rates increased by 300%. The current Liberals are increasing the carbon tax, quadrupling it on April 1st. So we need affordability to be a priority, and of course we need to be reliable, safe, and clean. And that's what nuclear energy is. Nuclear energy every year takes the equivalent, you talk about safety in the environment, it takes the equivalent of 15 million vehicles off the road. Because otherwise we'd be using dirty forms of energy to meet that demand. 15 million vehicles are removed from the road every year in this country because nuclear energy displaces coal or natural gas. So this is a good thing for our country. It's Canadian tech, Canadian workers, Canadian energy to solve the world's problems, and that's what we want to see more of.
Okay, thank you. I want to follow up another question regarding the electric vehicle subsidy policy.
Yes.
The federal government just stopped their subsidy policy, and Ontario doesn't have that plan. And does the Ontario government plan to introduce a new subsidy policy to the electric vehicle purchasers?
So, the Liberals in Canada and even in Ontario, they want to impose a mandate where all vehicles are electric, which is frankly crazy. The idea that the government is going to impose decisions on consumers that everyone must have an electric vehicle in Canada. The country we live in. It's a cold, vast nation. Not everyone lives in the suburbs of the cities. In the rural parts of Ontario, that can only be considered a radical position of the Liberals that want to, make life more difficult and more expensive for people. Now, look, I believe in allowing people to make the choices. We respect their choices. Some of our own colleagues have EVs. Great. Let it be a choice of the people. But what we did is we cut the gas tax, because 90% of Ontarians drive a combustion engine. So we cut the gas tax by 10 cents. The Liberals opposed that. We took the Liberals to the Supreme Court against the carbon tax. They opposed that too. And now we announced an energy affordability program, and they've expressed no support for that. So We stand alone when it comes to affordability. We announced 1,300 additional EV charging stations across small and medium-sized communities in Ontario so that we have more EV infrastructure to make it easier to drive an EV if you choose to do that. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to give a subsidy to a person to purchase a $125,000 car. We don't think that's a good use of taxpayer dollars. I'd rather help lower and middle-income families pay their energy bills than subsidize individuals who could afford six-figure cars. And I think most Canadians would agree. So we're going to make the infrastructure more available. We're going to continue to support EV production of the cars in Ontario. As you know, we have $47 billion of EV companies that have come to Ontario because of our Premier's leadership, attracting the conditions for investment. Where we are responsibly developing our critical minerals, all of them that are needed, like lithium and cobalt and other critical minerals and rare earths that are needed to build the EV are made in Ontario, in the north, the Ring of Fire. So we are like this amazing one-stop shop, from the minerals to the production of vehicles to the technology. We've done amazing in Ontario. We have more work to do to make EVs easier to drive, but we definitely will not be subsidizing expensive cars in this province. That's just not a priority. It's not a good use of taxpayer dollars.
Thank you.
Okay, this will be final question.
So with Daniel Smith not signing on to the agreements that was just had with the premiers, I know you're going to be in the U.S. Is there conversations you're looking to have? Are we sending mixed messaging yet?
Premier Ford,
Yeah.
Premier Ford believes we need to be united as a country. His expression is, united we stand, divided we fall. I mean, these are tariffs that have significant impacts on our economy, could cost hundreds of thousands of jobs, and now more than ever, our position is through a unified and strong advocacy to President Trump and the U.S. We can stand up for our jobs and make the case we should be building a more integrated energy supply chain through the ANCAN, this fortress ANCAN, vision of greater energy and economic integration. But we definitely believe everything must be on the table. We have to negotiate from a position of strength, and I assure the people of Ontario and Canada that Premier Ford and all the premiers are working together to safeguard our economy, protect our jobs. And what the premiers also said is if God forbid these tariffs are imposed and it creates hardship on our workers and families, that he and our government and our party will stand together to provide the supports that people will need during that difficult time.
Then will you be buying a blue hat with the not for sale sign?
I'm definitely buying a Canada's Not For Sale hat. I'll buy you one too, by the way, okay? There's a long lineup for them, okay?
Shannon,
With action.
I also want to thank MVP Billy Bank's staff are here, and MVP Billy Bank couldn't make it. He had a previous commitment, and thank you for being here. And we are on Northern Union Bill riding MVP Billy Bank. And thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Billy. Yeah, Billy's been amazing. We work together as parliamentary assistant. He still is the parliamentary assistant in education. An amazing leader, built many schools in this community together, the public and Catholic school boards, and really working hard to restore common sense back in our education system. So thank you, Billy, and thank you, Logan. It is Tamil New Year, Thai Pongal, so I wish you, it's Pongalo Pongal. I'm learning. And Daisy, Chinese New Year is around the corner. Daisy is a fearless leader. We call her affectionately Mama Daisy at Queen's Park. She's the mother to many of us youngsters at Queen's Park, and an incredible leader that's standing up for families in Richmond. So thank you for your leadership. And
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. I just want to say one more thing is, this is not my first time telling everybody about this special energy saving program. I got such great response, and the first time you announce it, a lot of people catch on to it. They are very excited. And this is something that we are asking them to work together with us for the energy savings, and then also put money into their pockets, and also create jobs. And that is so good when we're saying that there are so many other jobs that we might got affected if something terrible happened to us. But on the other hand, we already are in the back seat doing a lot of work, making sure Ontarians are covered. And thank you very much, Minister, and definitely to the Premier, and we will work together. not just us in the caucus members, but all the people with all the Ontarians out there. We'll work together to make Ontario a good place to live. And raise your family.
Prime Minister Daisy Way, everyone.
Smile on these.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
For all the